The Portuguese community has always made up one of the largest ancestry groups that the United States has to offer. Now, ever since they migrated here in the 19th century, they have been a major part of the country's population. And that process of immigration to get into the country can be difficult for some, for others it works out. But for the family of 37-year-old Sandy Casimiro, that process has now worked on more than one occasion.
But it was difficult to find an apartment, like everything was difficult.
And that difficult process for her relatives started just like it does for many.
My dad came first with his dad. The rest of the family stayed behind. And they got jobs. And then once they got settled, they had the rest of the family join them.
And even though her parents were happy in Portugal, they still chose America.
More opportunity here than there was in his country to build a life, have a family, and be able to support them.
Alejandro Wagismo is an associate professor of psychology at Roger Williams University, and he says that the immigration process into another country can be extremely traumatic for some.
Immigrating into another country is exciting, grueling, bewildering, traumatic, exciting, mainly overwhelming.
Culture shock to come from a small little village in Portugal to this big world here.
Some Portuguese immigrants could simply call Fall River home.
Chaves Market, Portugalia, it brings a lot of their culture and a lot of the stuff from their country to Fall River.
These gates that currently stand in Fall River mirror those of Ponta Delgada, which is São Miguel's capital city. They also remind residents of the many other islands that make up the Azores. They've created a strong relationship between Fall River and Ponta Delgada, which are now considered sisters of each other.
There are gates, right? So the whole concept of a gate welcoming people as an entrance point or a closing point, in this particular case they're open gates, permanently open because of the sculpture itself, the structure.
The gates aren't the only places, though, in Fall River that closely mirror the Portuguese community that sits overseas. Michael Charisse provides residents with the Portuguese culture in the north end of the city, while Columbia Street, which runs through a major part of the south end of the city, is known to some residents as Little Portugal, and includes multiple Portuguese markets and bakeries.
Since the time that Portuguese people started to migrate to Fall River, specifically for the factory work, they have come a long way, right? So they've been part of our workforce, they've been part of our architecture, and they've been part of our food. So they have really shaped what Fall River is today.
Now, for some immigrants, the process of immigration didn't work out, but for others, it created opportunities of a lifetime. Reporting for Roger Williams University, I'm Kyle Souza.